Welcome to the Alpha Nerd Podcast. I'm your main host, Kyle, along with my gaming co-host, Andrew.
Hello.
How are things going, Andrew?
Good. Busy as usual. Always seems to get busier and busier, but I have carved out a bit of time for video gaming.
Nice. So let's start with your clip of news that you posted about.
Oh, yeah. So Mick Gordon. For those of you who are kind of unaware, Mick Gordon is a composer. I think he's British. I want to say he's British. He is a composer that did the soundtrack and score for Doom 2016, the Doom reboot. That was widely critical acclaimed. He won tons of awards for the original soundtrack that he made. I mean, he kind of he blew up at Doom 2016. Everybody thought it was perfect. If you played the game, you know that the sound was so well done, like how the sound looped in with the player. And everybody was like, this thumbs up. This is amazing. This is incredible. So there was a big kerfuffle when Doom Eternal, the sequel to Doom 2016, came out, and everybody noticed that A, the sound wasn't that good. And B, the OST they released was absolute garbage. And it was sold as a Mick Gordon OST. During that time period, everybody was wondering what was going on. The site director of Bethesda, Marty Stratton, issued this giant Reddit post that basically said, like, Mick Gordon totally dropped the ball, blah, 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 blah. It was essentially throwing Mick Gordon under the bus. Mick Gordon didn't reply except for a tweet saying that basically, like, he didn't have anything to do with this stuff. Like, people were like, this OST is terrible, and he's like, do not blame me for that. That was not mine. I didn't do it. Even though it's Mick Gordon's OST, like his name on it.
Yeah.
So that was like 2 years ago. And I guess it came out like yesterday, because I'm guessing Mick Gordon, from what the article said that he wrote, basically he had exhausted all his legal avenues to pursuing this. But he wrote this massive post on Medium that essentially, like, he's got the receipts, he's got the emails, he's got screenshots of everything, and it's basically ID Software totally hosed him. Marty Stratton, the site director, the guy that posted that giant Reddit post about how Mick Gordon dropped the ball, is an egotistical maniac who single-handedly destroyed Mick Gordon's career, pretty much. Mick Gordon's doing some good work now, but he's definitely not back to where he was after Doom 2016. They treated him like garbage. They basically refused to pay him. Marty Stratton didn't want to deal with him and blamed Mick Gordon for all of Marty Stratton's problems. And it was pretty disgusting to read that, and especially to see, like, all the emails, see all the files that he kept. Like, it also read very much like Mick Gordon had consulted a lawyer before writing that post, such that he didn't say anything that was legally actionable, but he said everything that he had the receipts for. I think he was definitely trying to avoid being Helena Taylor number 2.0.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee you that. I think he was smart enough. He cover your butt.
Yeah.
If you're gonna say something, have everything you need to help verify your argument and protect yourself.
Did you read that? That thing is like 30 pages long. It's insane.
No, I did not.
So, like, they basically strung him along for payment, so he was a contractor on both projects. And what it essentially boiled down to was Marty Stratton asked Mick Gordon to do something really stupid for Doom Eternal. Basically make all the music before Mick Gordon even knew where the music was supposed to be used, which isn't how that's supposed to work. How do you know? No. How do you know what to make if you don't know what you're making?
Yeah, if you don't know the context of, like, hey, this is a sullen, sad scene, and then all of a sudden, yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
Mick Gordon had to basically, like, do all this work. Marty Stratton threw it out, and then forced him to make more after that because they finally got, like, the levels blocked in. And like the contract was only for 142 minutes of in-game audio, okay, in-game music.
Yeah.
Mick Gordon made like 300 minutes of in-game music, and he actually found out after the game released that while he was only paid for 142, after 11 months, he didn't receive payment for 11 months. That's not how that contract was supposed to go. He found out that after the game released, they actually used all 300 minutes that they claimed to have thrown out. They just basically stole his music.
They're shitty.
Yeah. Also, they announced a Mick Gordon OST, original soundtrack for Doom Eternal, without telling Mick Gordon. At E3, where they announced the Doom Eternal launch date, they announced that the collector's edition came with a Mick Gordon original soundtrack. Mick Gordon found out about that by people on Twitter telling him he was making a soundtrack for Doom Eternal. He didn't have a contract with them for that.
Oh, that's pretty shitty.
Yeah, and then he tried to get a contract with them, and Marty Stratton never replied to him. Just at all. Like, period. And so he had to go to Bethesda itself. Like, he had to skip ID Software and go to Bethesda, and Bethesda was like, oh, shit, like, you're right. We're going to sell a product that doesn't exist, which is illegal in the European Union. That is illegal to do.
Yeah.
If you sell a collector's edition with a product that isn't in it and you claim that product is there, in the European Union, you have to refund the entire cost of the purchase.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Bethesda was like, oh, cool. Okay, we're going to get a contract with you. And they wrote up a contract for Mick Gordon. They gave him a date. He was like, I can hit this date. But the contract specified that Marty Stratton from ID Software had full control over approval and all that stuff.
Yeah, which makes sense.
So the first phone call with Mick Gordon and Marty Stratton, Marty just basically tells Mick Gordon that this is all his fault and that he's going to violate a lot of laws and he's legally liable for all this stuff. And because Marty Stratton announced a product that didn't exist and never bothered to work with Mick Gordon to get the product to exist, Mick went out of his way to get a contract with Bethesda to make the product that Marty didn't have exist.
Yeah.
And Marty basically like chewed him out for an hour on a Skype call and basically told him he was a piece of shit. And Mick was like, okay, I'm still gonna make this soundtrack because I have a contract for this.
From the higher ups.
Yeah, so he makes the soundtrack. Marty doesn't give him any guidance whatsoever. He hands it off in the time allotted. Marty tries to like disown it, like refuse it, but he met the contract terms, so Bethesda pays him. And then when the OST comes out, it has his tracks that he made. He made 12 tracks. And then they got some random audio engineer to just make like 40 more tracks for the soundtrack. And they're horrible. They're absolutely terrible. The dude who did them is not a composer. He's just one of ID Software's like audio engineers. And they're atrocious. And right after the OST came out, I know you didn't probably pay attention at the time, but like every news outlet was like, this OST sucks. Like it got lambasted publicly. Everyone was like, what is this mess? And that's when Marty Stratton put up that Reddit post that was like, oh, Mick Gordon, totally dropped the ball. This is all his fault. And what happened was Mick Gordon was like sick to his stomach, like, because they basically used his name to sell some audio engineer just randomly cutting and splicing music. Yeah. And so he was furious. He gathered all his receipts and he reached out to ZeniMax Legal. And he told them basically what was up. Like that Marty Stratton had defamed him, like they violated all these contracts. ZeniMax Legal actually offered to settle with him for 6 figures. And he has the proof. He has the emails about it. Like once ZeniMax Legal saw what had happened, they were like, oh crap. Yeah, sure, we'll settle.
Yeah, whatever you need. Don't take this to court. Please don't take this to court.
The problem was, one of the requirements for the settlement, Mick Gordon wanted Marty Stratton to take down that Reddit post and apologize to Mick Gordon publicly. And Marty Stratton refused to do it under the thing that it would damage his professional reputation. So as soon as that happened, ZeniMax started threatening legal action against Mick Gordon instead of offering to settle. And eventually it got to the point where Mick Gordon got them to try and settle again, but the settlement terms this time were Mick Gordon had to publicly apologize to Marty Stratton. So, like, it's like one of those, like, what? What are you talking about? So I guess every single time he tried to get them to do anything else, he basically got strung along for months, and then they would come back with a ridiculous offer that he clearly was not going to accept. So from what he said in the post, like he was pretty much at the end of the line, and he was making this public so that everybody could know, who Marty Stratton and ID Software and ZeniMax Legal really were in this particular case.
Yeah.
And he's got the receipts to prove it. His post is clearly written with legal guidance to make sure he does not get sued.
Yeah. Make sure he doesn't say something that will either backfire on him or...
Yeah, like the Doom subreddit is not pleased at the moment with ID Software. So yeah, it's a mess. It's pretty clear that Marty Stratton just kind of lied to everybody and is also a pretty egotistical dick. And poor Mick Gordon. I'm glad he's getting work again. Also, there were people that were part of that production process that backed up Mick Gordon on Twitter about that. Like people that were in like the choirs he was hiring for his music, for the music for Doom. So yeah, it's an absurd. It's one of those like corporate evil stories that you're just like, wow, people actually do that. Like that's a real thing.
How do people get away with this?
It's insane. So Marty Stratton didn't just get away with it; he actually got promoted, I believe, between the actions here and right now. If I were Microsoft, I'd be going in there with an axe just about now.
But you gotta go before you fucking sink this ship.
I honestly don't think anything bad will happen to him because in a lot of cases in American corporate culture, mediocrity fails upward. So I'm not really sure. He might just like stop being in public, but he'll still be making tons of money. I feel bad for Mick Gordon. He makes really good music, and I hope that he gets better jobs. And honestly, good for him for putting this out there, especially with all the receipts. No one was going to believe him for a second if he didn't have those.
Yeah, because do you know how many people were pissed at Helena Taylor over her bullcrap?
Man, Helena Taylor, she just destroyed her career. We talked about this last show, but oh my gosh. I've never seen somebody like tank themselves that quickly before. That was impressive. That was deeply impressive. The only person I can think of who's doing a worse job in the same amount of time is Elon Musk. That's my Twitter joke for this show. That's it.
Yeah. All right. So, as far as news on my end goes, nothing too big. Nothing's happened too interesting to me that I would like, hey, I gotta say this. There's a thing with Shinji Mikami is teaming up with Platinum Games and Capcom on a new project.
Who's Shinji Mikami?
Resident Evil 4.
Oh, okay. The Resident Evil 4 guy. Okay. I can't see Platinum Games making a scary game.
I can.
Really?
I think they've done one.
What game was that?
I'm looking right now. I believe they did one. No, I believe they did one.
I don't remember them ever doing a like horror game. Or anything that was like really scary. Like Bayonetta is not scary, it's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll check that out as we're going through the show and see if I see anything. I guess Hideo Kojima and Shinji Mikami and somebody else were all talking about getting together and doing a horror title together as well.
I mean, Hideo Kojima, horror titles are basically his bread and butter.
Yeah, which I'm super excited for if he does.
Did
They
you
want to do a
see?
whole.
Did you see the ads for what is probably Death Stranding 2?
No, I have not.
Okay. Uh, it. I like Hideo Kojima. I have massive issues with some of his weird game quirks, but I actually, like I said before, I adore Death Stranding.
Like,
I
let's put it like this: he is not great as a game developer, but he is excellent and amazing at worldcraft and story writing.
Okay,
Yes,
I
some
will
of it.
I will fight you a little bit on story writing.
Okay, let me be a little more clear. He writes story and dialogue like a snail, but his story arcs, when you finally get everything put together and you go back and look at it, they're always really good.
I mean, I did like Death Stranding's, but his characterization and dialogue in Death Stranding is just junk. It's just garbage.
Well,
Like
so is
half the friggin' time. All right, so you can build a Death Stranding character name by usually ending the name with man, and then
yeah,
before that, it's whatever that their quirk is.
yeah.
Um,
You played Metal Gear Solid,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Like his, I'm sorry, the dialogue in Death Stranding is garbage. The characters are actually interesting if their names weren't just cliches of how they were
Yeah,
written.
but like same thing with like Metal Gear Solid. All his character names are very cliche, but they're all very interesting characters.
I I will have some complaints there regarding Metal Gear Solid 4 and the ladies in
The
Metal Gear.
Beauty and the Beast units,
Yeah,
Beauty and the Beast, yeah,
that those seem a little gross,
they
but
are gross, but it was I like them because they were well written and they were traumatized and then forced into these machines and using their psychosis as a way to make them more effective soldiers, which was crazy.
and then
Now,
you get them in swimsuit poses when you take pictures of them.
yes, that is the weird part, but the actual storyline based stuff, I felt the Beauty Beast units were great.
So all right, getting back to it's very clear that he's advertising what is probably Death Stranding 2.
Yeah.
He's got more. He's this time it looks to be 3 actresses and not just Norman Reedus. Although Norman Reedus is, I think Norman Reedus is the one that leaked Death Stranding 2 because he like did an Instagram post that was like recording voices for the next Death Stranding. It's like what?
What a dummy.
But it's clear that the Hideo is advertising for what appears to be the next Death Stranding game with 3 lead actresses. And you know what, I'm all here for it. Like I said, I really like Death Stranding,
Yeah.
which it was really the first Strand type game. It was a really cool concept.
Yes. Okay. Yes, it is. So, another piece of news is it went silent for a while, but WrestleQuest just got an update.
A what game?
WrestleQuest, the RPG wrestling game I told you about in episode 3, maybe 4.
Okay, all right. That's not fair. You can't just jump something on me from like a year ago.
It was the wrestling. It was the wrestling
Okay, all right.
RPG.
I don't disbelieve you.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just gonna be quick. It was a It was when they were doing the Nintendo thing where they start going over like all the independent titles, and that one popped up. It's a whole game about you make a wrestler and you start your career, and it's set like an old school Final Fantasy VI RPG style, but you're literally becoming a wrestler.
Huh.
And they just announced the official release date for it.
When is it?
They are saying it's going to be May of 2023, so it'll be right in time for my birthday.
There you go. You can have a WrestleQuest. Does the game just randomly end halfway through when Vince McMahon cuts you from the league?
We'll find out. I just know.
Wait, that's right. Vince McMahon isn't running it anymore. He got like arrested or something, didn't he?
Yeah, it's Triple H is running it now.
Well, I thought Triple H was like the storyline person who's running it.
Yeah,
but I thought Vince McMahon actually got like divested from the company because like he got caught having like 3 affairs or something like that.
He was doing all kinds of crazy crap, but I'm not surprised by that by any means.
I mean, he was doing all that and steroids. So
yeah. So, and then the last little bit of thing, and this is for you, Andrew, is God of War Ragnarok is seeing enormous positive results.
Well,
like,
yeah, of course.
Everyone is all about this game, and they are predicting it might be the game of the year.
I mean, I don't disbelieve that, but you also got to remember, didn't Elden Ring come out this year?
Yeah.
Like, I can't... Alright, God of War Ragnarok has to be really good to beat out Elden Ring, and I don't mean that like, oh, it's a good game. I mean, like, this is a game you're going to remember for like 5 to 10 years, because Elden Ring is a masterpiece.
We will see.
I will play it at some point. I loved God of War 2018. Ragnarok, like I said, I generally don't rush to play games because I usually wait for them to get some patches before I start playing, just to avoid any weird issues, especially with like the God of War games. I don't want to be like engrossed and then have Kratos like fall through a rock.
That usually doesn't. I will give the God of War's credit. There really wasn't that many bad things that happened in God of War 2018. There really wasn't too many.
I played it in like 2019, so yeah, I actually it was patched up the wazoo, so I'm not really sure.
What I'm saying, when it initially released, I don't think there was really too many glitches or defects.
I wonder if there should be an intentional bug where Kratos just screams "boy" over and over and over again.
Right.
Be the best.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it for news for me. Just little things.
You didn't want to talk about any Pokemon like Violet or Scarlet stuff?
There hasn't been too much. Like they're getting into it little bits and pieces, but
it comes out here in what 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's still pretty hush hush. That's what's bothering me about that.
It's really cool that I'm gonna pick up Violet.
Yeah, shut up. My biggest thing is right now they really haven't released any of the new Pokemon. Like we only have most of a Pokedex for it. Like I'm
not deeply concerned about this. I think it's gonna be good. It's actually the first Pokemon in a while I'm looking forward to.
Yes, I think it'll be good too, but usually we get a lot of information, especially almost 2 weeks out.
It's true. I wonder if they're just kind of like playing it a little bit safer here.
Because my biggest thing is I need to know about what the multiplayer entails.
It's actually a Dance Dance Revolution style game.
But you know what I mean? Like, are we going to be able to do the whole campaign together, or is it just?
Oh, that's right. Doesn't it have co-op or something like that?
Yeah, it's 4-player co-op. We can join
4 players.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't that's why I'm asking. Like, they should have something hopefully here soon explaining this in a little more detail. Mm-hmm. Because if they want to make their money, they need to.
It's fair. That's very fair. But I haven't heard anything. I've seen them like do a couple things where they'll show off like one new Pokemon, but I haven't seen anything else really.
Yeah, no, that they haven't done anything in a while. Like it's really weird. But we'll see what happens when it comes out.
All right.
I'm getting it. You're getting it. Cheetah might be getting it.
I'll get Tristan it too.
Oh, we can do couples dates on Pokemon.
He would be like, "What is this? I don't know what this is."
He'd be like, "This is gay."
You did the voice very well.
I know. I've known for a long time.
So, Kyle, I do want to get to game reviews because there's one I want to talk about right here at the very beginning.
All right, go for it.
I beat Xenoblade.
Oh my god! Thank God.
And I have to say this, that I thought the ending of Xenoblade 3 was god-awful. I was just grossly disappointed in it.
I was saving it for so long, not trying to really... The only thing that bothered me that I had to tell you about is when he threw his sword off the cliff.
It's so bad. It doesn't... The explanation just does not make any sense. Like, whatsoever.
Sorry. Which one are you talking about?
All of them, okay?
Okay, well, the whole concept was... And some of it makes sense.
No.
the whole concept of each world Like all of Rex's world was from Xenoblade 1.
Yes.
All of Mia's world
It's from
is
Xenoblade 2.
Xenoblade 2.
Yes.
And apparently it's kind of like the
It's matter antimatter.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like if they touch, they annihilate.
Yeah, it's also the what's the thing, the Earth colliding each other in Marvel. I can't remember what it's called. But
that's DC.
That's DC. There's something weird like where like universes start to align and then the Earths hit each other and they destroy each other.
Okay.
Like they didn't explain how Dude became the weird time stop guy. They didn't really.
Yeah, like they don't really talk about Z whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't explain him. They don't explain X, Y. Oh, did X? X is the one that has the scythe, right?
The
girl.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Yeah. So, did she glitch out for you and get stuck in like mid animation after you kill her?
No, I didn't have that.
Yeah, she got stuck in mine in mid animation. I didn't even get an end cutscene with her. She just kind of stood there and was frozen.
Aw, that's a bummer. All right, so my main complaint is, okay, you can build like the origin machine. All right, that was built, but by the people to like stop the worlds from annihilating each other and like reintegrate them into one. That's just a technology they have access to.
Yeah, why not?
Also, okay, the origin machine stores the consciousness of all the citizens from both planes of existence, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Like, I'm sorry, you have these capabilities at your disposal, and that's the best idea you've got? That weird machine that is all of a sudden hijacked by somebody that nobody knows anything about for any reason?
Yeah, well, that's what kind of happened.
That is so dumb. I'm sorry. Yes. I got to the end and I'm like, I must have been subconsciously not finishing it because I knew what was coming. Like I had gotten sometime deep in sleep a premonition, like a voice whispering in my mind, "Hey, the ending to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sucks. Don't finish it." And yeah, well, I liked the game as a whole. I thought it was really fun. It was pretty glitchy in the beginning, but I actually didn't have too many glitches towards the end. And I really enjoyed the combat. I liked the characters. They were pretty like cliched, but they did the job.
Yeah.
So I love the class system. The class system was so cool. But yes, the ending is so bad.
Oh, did you get the last hero?
No, I actually could never figure out how to finish a couple of the side quests I had. They just seem to be locked out for me. So I think that still might be a bug.
The same thing happened to you. Was it the stupid one where you get in the fog and start talking about some ghost ship and then it just never brings up anything again?
I actually don't remember that one. I wonder if I just didn't get that one. I had one where I had to talk to somebody and they just didn't exist. Like, I tried to go to where they were and they were not there. I like checked the whole map and it's like, talk to this person. I looked online and the person was supposed to be at that location. And I think I had progressed the game to the point where that person was not there and it just never worked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was grossly disappointed in the ending of that game.
Now, there's parts of the ending I was okay with.
Which parts?
The general concept of like, hey, the best we can do is re-separate the Earths, the universes. That's
okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, you're right. That part is okay, and where they're like talking to like she's out there, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and he still loves, like they're in love now. Let's definitely Uni and the glasses dude were definitely a couple, and
Tyon.
So were
his name was Tyon.
Tyon, yeah, and so was
Lance.
The main dude and Mia. The main dude and Mia.
Noah and Mia.
Yeah,
Noah,
Lance and Lance and the other chick. I don't know. They didn't really.
How do you not know the names of these people?
Because it's been forever since I played it.
Okay,
I beat it and moved on with my life.
Fair enough.
But their dynamic wasn't really as romantic as like.
No, they were bros.
Yeah, they're bros, and I love that. I love that. I was glad they just didn't make them all couples.
It was a nice touch. I did appreciate them just being bros.
How much did it bother you when Noah threw his sword off the cliff, even though it respawns whatever he wants
It
it to?
bothered me a lot. Like, it was such a
It made
useless
no
gesture.
sense. I was like, you materialize it from your body. What are we doing?
It is like, I know it was supposed to be like a gesture. It was just a gesture, but it's such a useless one. It's
Yeah,
like
right.
trying to throw away a yo-yo, like
Right.
while it's on your hand.
Right.
It's so
So
stupid.
there was that. And then the worlds were separating.
So I have a legit question. They can just talk to each other on those worlds.
Apparently.
Yeah, they can. They showed that technology. So
Because the queens were doing it.
yeah,
So
exactly. Why are you telling me that you can't just like
find a way to get to each other?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, oh no, I'll never know if she's really out there. You have the technology to do this.
Yeah. So let's go with the other part of the ending that I felt was really amusing is the queen's reveals. We start off with the first queen, Noah's queen, revealing the Monado,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was amazing.
Hmm.
Then we pop over to the other queen, who is clearly what's her face, Nia or Nia from 2.
She is that is Nia from 2.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
Her
once
name
we
is
got
literally Nia in the game.
I know, but I'm saying once we got to the point where they like revealed her face, and I was like, really? And then it shows the robot popping out,
Hmm.
and then it shows the picture she's looking at on her dresser
Yeah.
with everybody, where Rex clearly knocked up Pyra, her, and what's the last one? It's
Pyra. It's
Mithra.
Mithra, yeah. Pyra,
Mithra.
Yeah, Pyra and Mithra are the weird duo.
Yeah,
And then Nia, yeah. Well,
yeah.
Rex gets around, apparently.
Yeah, he does. I will give him credit all day. He got there.
You know, I'm gonna point out with how the clothing situation was in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I can only imagine that he suffered for a very long time.
Yeah, right. Well, what cracks me up is all those babies seem about the same age. So he was.
Hey, don't shame their relationship just because it isn't
Shaming.
yours.
I'm not shaming that, but he just clearly was getting it in. Like,
I mean,
clearly.
Yeah, just like that's a normal relationship for them, and we
Now,
should just
my
accept
question
that.
is, and I it sparked near the end as like, is Mia Nia's daughter?
I think the names are just really similar because there was really nothing in there.
Cat girls that look exactly the same.
Yeah, I honestly, outside of the visual similarity, there is and the name, there is nothing to indicate that that's the case. Like, there's not even like a wink to it or anything like that.
Yeah, I know.
So
but
I
it just seemed...
yeah, I gotta say, I did not in the slightest actually remember the very start of the game where it shows the two worlds and Noah's like running in the one like town square and time freezes. I didn't even remember that until like I saw the very end.
Yes, same here. Same here. It blew my mind that I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it's just because it was so like as soon as you see it at the beginning of the game, you know that this is going to be relevant. But it
was also such a quick scene that you disregarded it too.
It was both quick and it very quickly with the length of the game's tutorial just is like, okay, that's information I don't have to retain. Like yes. I don't need to know this. What I need to know is why my numbers aren't going up.
So, now with you beating it finally.
Yeah.
Did the ending take your score down of the game?
No. And the main reason for that is I don't really consider the whole story to be what I play the game for in that particular case. I really like the world and how it was developed, and I like the combat a lot. If I'm playing a JRPG, I know the story. I expect the story to be bad. So that's not something that really hits me hard. It really didn't impact my score, aside from I'm not really going to remember or care that much about that story, but I will remember how much I enjoyed the gameplay and the world design itself. I thought the world's design was really cool.
I love the world design, but I also like I'm a very story magnet person. I think that's why I like JRPGs a lot because they're very story focused.
They are, but most of the time the stories is some anime trash.
Not most of the time, but there's always gems out there. There's always some gems.
That's true. There are gems out there, but other ones are just like I don't watch enough anime for this to be appealing to me in the slightest.
Final Fantasy is like
Okay.
six was a gem. 7 was the start of a cliche. 8 was not good. 8 is my favorite.
I like 8.
8 is my favorite Final Fantasy. But the storyline was a mess that made no sense.
Oh yeah, it was just a complete mess. I really liked 8 though. I never played 9.
9's very generic.
10 was hilarious.
Yeah, 10 was hilarious, but 10 was also really good because they set up a really cool world.
The world was cool. Yeah, the story was pretty funny.
The story was pretty funny. There was just some major plot points in there that didn't make any sense.
11 was an MMO, I believe.
Yes.
12 was good. I liked 12. Although, I gotta admit, I don't even remember what the story was whatsoever. I just remember the gameplay was really good.
Yeah, 12 was okay. 12, I didn't like 12 storyline too much. It was
13 was trash.
Which 13?
The first 13. If you're gonna pull that, you're gonna have to say which 10 as well, because there were multiple 10s.
Fair enough.
But 13 was trash. 13, 1 and 2 were trash.
14 was an MMO.
14. So 14's an MMO, but 14's actually really good. Like
I'm just saying 14 is an MMO.
But I'm also saying the 14 storyline is really good.
Yeah, everyone says it's super detailed and intricate.
It is.
So, we might have to be nerds and start playing that game.
I mean, I played a lot of Final Fantasy 14.
And then 15.
15 is his bros being bros.
Like, there were some great concepts in there. It's just they did not follow through with any of it.
Yeah, I enjoyed 15, but boy, was that story just garbage, and some of the gameplay elements were just bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
All right.
16 looks interesting, by the way. Have you seen all any stuff for 16?
Yes, I'm looking forward to that one very much.
I do deeply appreciate that in 16 there are no black people because they didn't want to make black people.
Nah.
Like their explanation for not including anyone who isn't white is what was it? They don't feel like they could do it justice.
Hey, if you were like, hey, I'm not comfortable enough to draw black characters because I'll make it super racist.
But it's just Square Enix. Like, they've had black characters before.
Yeah, and their black characters are usually stereotypes.
I mean,
like
that's true. Yeah. That is accurate,
right.
But I just thought that was really funny.
So what other games have you gotten down your...
So I've actually almost beaten Vampire Survivors. Have you heard of Vampire Survivors?
Is this the one where it's the quick game that you were worried about playing because you were worried you were going to get addicted to it?
Yeah. It turns out I'm not addicted to it, but it's a very fun game. So Vampire Survivors is a 2D game that's very much Castlevania styled. Except you're in a level, and it's not like Castlevania where it's 2 dimensions vertically. It's more isometric, kind of like just a lot of Super Nintendo games. So your character sprite is in the middle of the screen. You can go left, right, up, and down, and it's a map that has like building structures and stuff on it. And there's an infinite amount of enemies that come and attack you. Okay. You get a set amount of time in each stage. It's usually about 30 minutes. And then the Grim Reaper comes and kills you. In that 30 minutes, you kill enemies with one of like 80 billion different weapon types, including pretty much all the Castlevania weapons. They drop XP gems that you pick up, and when you level up, you can pick a new weapon if you have less than 7 weapons, or a new passive relic, which can actually upgrade your weapons. And that's it. There's like 40 different characters that all start with special extra things. And it is a game about unlocking like 3 billion different options and then combining them all together until a regular 2D game makes your PC chug. Like I had a situation the other night where I actually made a build that it would tank the frame rate on this 2D Castlevania looking game. Like my one power would trigger and the whole frame rate would just stutter because it just was
Especially on your computer?
on my computer. Yeah, my brand new one. That is not something that occurs lightly, but
That's impressive.
it is insane. It's a really fun game. It's all about unlocking stuff. It has a really good sense of humor, and the progression systems are really smart. Like once you know how to play the game, it's very fun. You can do a lot of different weird builds. You kind of get a sense of like what will work when and where. And it's a really enjoyable game, and it's like $5 or something like that. Like I'm
Nice.
playing it on Game Pass, so I'm not paying anything for it, but I think it's like $5, and it's a steal at that price. That's insane. I know it's like hugely popular, and it's basically created a new genre of game. Like I see them online. They're like Vampire Survivors style clones, and all of them are like just like Vampire Survivors, but better. Um, it's wild that it's made by one guy. One guy makes it.
Yeah,
Uh,
well.
it's so fun and good, and it's just refreshing. The only issue I have with it is, in order to progress, especially in the early game, you literally have to play each stage for 30 minutes, and I don't like that. You can't pause really. Sorry, you can pause, but it's not like you can like save state your run. So
Okay.
if you quit, you're done. I don't like that. Later on in the game, you don't have to do as much stuff that requires getting up to 30 minutes. So you can undo the whole game loop is basically unlocking stuff. So you
Yeah.
can meet the conditions for unlocking playing less than 30 minutes. But in the very beginning, playing 30 minutes is something you kind of got to do if you really want to unlock a lot of the good stuff. And
Okay.
I don't like that as much. But it is a super fun game. It's dirt cheap. It runs on like any hardware. You will get some chugs though if you manage to put together a build like I did the other night. It was insane. Um, and yeah, just an A+ for me. It's so cheap and fun, and I still can't believe that it's like a $4 or $5 game. It's
Well,
mind bending.
I know.
Yeah.
So, have you completed any other games? Have you gotten into any games or?
I started replaying Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. Because I played it a long time ago when it came out in 2016, I believe, and I kind of rushed through it like pretty quick. I don't know why. I had heard a lot of the things like it was bad, so I think I just kind of like ran through it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is bad. Um, I'm replaying it now. I picked it up on sale for dirt cheap because I mean it's been 8 years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I picked up a bunch of games dirt cheap recently, so
Oh good. I want to hear about them.
I haven't
But
played any.
fair enough. I've been playing through Mankind Divided again, and yeah, it has a lot of problems, but it is actually much more enjoyable than I remember it being. It definitely has issues, but I think it's pretty fine. It's sad that it kind of killed off the Deus Ex series, although I did just hear that um, Eidos, how do you pronounce that, is in pre-production on the next Deus Ex game. That got leaked out. I'm excited to see what they do, but I'm also not holding my breath for that. But yeah, Mankind Divided's been pretty fun. What else have I played here? No, I didn't play that. I'm trying to remember what other games I have played. Have you played anything, Kyle?
Yeah, I've actually played and completed the Resident Evil 8 DLC.
Oh,
Shadows
okay.
of Rose.
All right, so tell me a little bit about that. That is something I do want to play at some point.
So, they made the switch from first person to third person in this. And I understand why they did that. But the only reason why they needed to do that was for literally the attack animations of the new monsters and for the control scheme for the very end of the game, for the end of the DLC. Everything else just runs it like it's first person, which makes it really awkward and weird.
Huh. That is very odd. That is very
So,
odd.
yeah, it was very weird. Now, they had to have hired somebody who worked on The Evil Within.
Why do you say that?
They used a crap ton of The Evil Within's sound bites and design, like as far as like how it all works. Now you know the main premise is where you go into the Megamycete and try to do all that, right? That was spoiled early.
Yeah, I did see that. Rose goes to like,
so how you enter it and stuff, it super reminiscent of Evil Within, like the very beginning. It's really weird. It's really weird. It's now atmosphere wise, it was amazing. It was scary. It was creepy. It was well set up. But it just felt like I was playing Evil Within with a girl instead.
I mean, Evil Within was fun.
Yeah. No, but here's the thing. They kept the creepy elements and kept it going. It really didn't feel like a Resident Evil game at this point. It felt literally just the Evil Within.
All right, that is unfortunate.
It took such a hard turn from Resident Evil. Now, they did a whole bunch right with it. The storyline's great. The gameplay was pretty okay. Combat's wonky. It's a little wonky till you get far enough in it, and then it really opens up, and at that point you're already maxed out.
Do enemies actually kill you in like one hit?
Kind of.
I heard something about that.
Kind of. They can, I guess.
You guess? Did you never get killed?
I got killed, but not by that enemy that they always talked about. Like I would.
Okay.
I'd die more at the trap things where you had to try to solve traps and shit.
You just scream in horror, drop the controller, and just die.
That happened. I texted you when that happened. We were playing, and some things happened, and it threw me off. And I screamed, and I threw my controller, and I scared Cheetah and the kids. It was a moment. I will say, like I said, everything they did great. It was great. It was worth the money. It was worth playing through. It just didn't have the same impact or feel as Resident Evil 8. It was more devoted to the horror game aspect like 8 was, but it just felt like you were playing Evil Within.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything positive about the third-person mode for Village. Like, I really haven't heard anything, like, good about it. Most people are just like, this just makes it feel like a lesser game.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised they even added that.
I think just because I don't know why, but whatever, it's fine. It works. It's functioning.
Yeah,
I might go back through and play 8 with third person mode on.
I am going to replay Village before I pick up Shadows of Rose. I don't think I'm gonna play through it with third person on. It's just not something that appeals to me. I really like the first person viewing aspect, especially for Village.
So what are you gonna do with 4?
Well, I mean, 4 doesn't have it, so I'm gonna play it regularly.
Fair enough. So, but the storyline was good. I'm not gonna get too much into it for storyline wise, but aesthetically it was great. Once they started getting into some of the depths of the story, it was pretty cool. It set up some things. It had some great jukes in the storyline.
Does it actually end the Winters family saga like Capcom claimed?
I guess.
But you don't know. There's not like a definitive like.
Yeah, there's not a definitive to anything because I will at least give you that. It takes place before the end of 8.
Wait, how does it take place before the end of 8 if Rose is an adult?
It's she's not an adult. She's the same age as she was at the end last cutscene.
Yeah, but in the last cutscene, she's like 16 or something, isn't she? Okay,
Yeah.
she's not an adult. Yeah, but
That's the time it takes place.
okay. So you mean it takes place before the actual like cutscene end of 8?
Yes, the last cutscene in 8. It takes place before that.
I thought you meant like it was somehow set during Ethan's trip through the village, and I was like, what?
Yeah. So I'm a little disappointed in that. So for me, it doesn't really end their saga. It just all it did was give an excuse to not have to have any continuing storyline to end their storyline.
Interesting.
It just recycled back to 8's ending.
Well, I guess maybe that's them saying that 8's ending is the end of the Winters family saga.
But the end would be either Rose being dead or you know,
maybe she's just gonna go to a college and then like buy a farm in Oregon or something.
No, that's definitely not going to happen.
Why not?
Because the ending of 8, Chris was putting her on missions like a douchebag.
Maybe those missions were to get him like a hamburger or some coffee or something.
Well, okay, well, shut up. So that's how that ended. Okay. I suggest getting it. I suggest buying it and playing it.
All right, yeah, that's whenever I'm getting around to replaying Village.
The sad part is I'm never going to be able to play Lady Dimitrescu because I am not pushing through. You have to push through all the other stupid mercenary missions first.
Oh, okay.
I'm not doing that.
I was gonna say I didn't know how that worked. I thought you could just like pick her as like a character.
I thought you could too, but you can't. So fuck that.
Yeah, that's disappointing. That's very disappointing. So,
but
Kyle, for our last 8 minutes here, did you have any other games you are currently playing right now that you'd want to discuss?
I'm currently on Bayonetta 3 as well.
How is it? Give me the scuttlebutt, because I've heard things.
I'm in between on it because it definitely does not feel like Bayonetta 1 and 2.
I have heard, so what I have heard through the grapevine is the combat is really fun and good and over the top, and that the storyline is absolute trash.
I'm not impressed with the storyline, and I'm also not impressed with the combat.
Really? I actually heard the combat was good.
You can say the combat's good, I guess. It's just it does not have the same impact as like 1 and 2 did.
Does it feel like floaty, or does it control bad? Like what's wrong with it?
No, it controls almost the exact same thing, but they smoothed out some of the edges. So what I mean by that is when you did your finishing combos and you drop kicked a monster, you had the nice shake of the controller, you had the nice booming sound, and the way it with the damage that enemies took, it showed and it made it feel like there was a heavy impact. And with the color scheme too, and that's also part of it. The color schemes are all very blended.
I heard one of the complaints was all you do is go somewhere and beat up a green person.
Kind of. So the color scheme they chose for the main enemies is white and a like neon colored greenish blue.
Yeah, I've seen them.
But unfortunately, Bayonetta's demons are all similar colors to that, and everything's similar colors into that, so it all kinds of blurs together, and you lose track.
There's no like visual marking that's distinct or anything like that.
Like number one, you had to deal with the angels who were white and gold.
Yeah.
To a contrast of Bayonetta's black and dark colors.
Yeah.
2, we had the demons, which were a contrast to the angels, but Bayonetta was sporting blue instead of red, so it also offset that because their black and red was offset by her blue and white. I mean, her black and blue.
Yeah.
So it still allowed her to pop out and be able to be seen a lot easier. The color scheme for this is not as good.
Nothing really pops.
No, nothing really pops. visually it's good. It's visually great. Like it just there's no pop in color, so the combat gets a little messy. I feel like they tried to smooth it out so much that it really they tried to smooth everyone's animations out so much that it does make it hard to dodge stuff. Because there used to be like clear indicators, like you still have like the last second dodge time. You don't get that as much because the enemies move so fluently and smoothly, it makes it hard to dodge them sometimes.
Okay.
They really focused on the giant combat in this one.
Yeah, that's what I kept seeing in like advertisements and trailers and stuff.
Yeah,
like turning
they really focused that.
like the big demon combat.
Yeah, they really overly focused that.
Oh, that's a bummer. Because I had heard that the combat was actually better this time around, but I'm getting conflicting news here.
I guess with me, it's just it is smooth. It's just I think it's so smooth it takes away from, and it might also just be the color scheme messing with me.
Mm-hmm. It's less impactful.
Yeah, it just feels like less like you're seeing the combos, but they don't have the same
oomph,
crunch, the oomph, the feel like when you drop kick somebody, you drop kick the shit out of them. The storyline though, it's pretty. It's weird. It's just like every Bayonetta game. Now, I will agree with some people who say the storyline's awful because this feels like a storyline for the sake of being a storyline.
Okay, it doesn't feel like organic or anything.
No, it doesn't feel like it really has anything to do with Bayonetta as a whole.
Yeah, I'd heard that. I'd heard it like it really changed the character of Bayonetta.
Yes, it feels very different all the way around. Like 1 and 2 did a nice circle of each other to to create a nice cohesive storyline.
Yeah.
Each of the time loops from the first one and the second one all collided with each other and created a solid through line.
Mm-hmm.
Where this is not so much. It's so wonky with that. I can see where it is, where it doesn't land. They don't explain much in the other Bayonetta games, but you get a real flow of how things are going to be and who certain people are. This one, not so much. They don't say shit.
Yeah, so the other games are like wild and crazy, and they don't particularly explain well. But over time, you get a really good sense of how everything functions or works.
Yeah, or what the purpose was, or what you're doing.
Yeah.
This one, not so much. It just feels off. But they give you a little exposition dump in it, like near the beginning, but it still doesn't feel like anything's connected.
Yeah, I'd heard complaints about that. Kind of like they didn't really know what 3 was going to be, just that they got an order for 3.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like they had an identity for it, so they're just slapsticking some stuff together. Now, there's some really cool stuff in there that I agree with. And that would get into more story spoilers for you, which I won't do.
Don't you dare. Don't you do that to me.
So, at the very least, it's worth borrowing off me and playing.
I mean, I'll definitely do that.
I kind of want to go back and play 1 and 2 again, though.
You should.
If it wasn't $85 to get a copy of 2.
$85? Can't you just buy 2 on, like, the eShop?
You know how I feel about that, Andrew.
I don't. I actually don't know how you feel about the eShop in general.
I don't like buying games digitally too much.
I mean, I don't blame you. For Nintendo, they'll just cut you like instantly. Like the Switch 2 will come out and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, none of your games transfer."
Yep. So that's why.
Yeah.
So I'll find it. I'll get it, and I'll do it. Should you play it? Yes. Should you buy it? Probably.
Probably. All right. I'll accept that. And that actually times us out perfectly. Like that's the end of our hour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could have more time if we wanted to.
Nope, end of the hour.
Hey, shut up, Andrew. You wanted to do this from home so we can go over. So, but
Kyle,
yeah,
we're in studio right now.
I know. Yeah, right. So yeah, that's the end of that. Check out our YouTube, our Facebook, our Twitch. Oh wait, we don't have Twitch. It's not our
Not
Twitch.
yet, we don't.
Yeah, not yet. We don't. I'm actually working on that too. Check out our Discord. That's the one I'm looking for. Our Twitter, Discord, YouTube, Facebook. Check us out. We're currently doing a census/giveaway. We put up I wanted to put up a poll, but Facebook cut out doing polls anymore.
Wait, really?
It's really stupid.
Oh.
But we're asking the question is for our Christmas special for the cinema side of thing, is Batman Returns and Die Hard Christmas movies?
Yes.
Yes, I also agree. Yes.
No, that is the actual answer, Kyle. You don't
Yes.
need in a poll or anything like that.
Yes. Well.
Yes.
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 So,
Yes.
Yeah. So, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks for
Turkey
hopefully
Day, Thanksgiving.
Right. Oh crap! It is on Thanksgiving.
It is
isn't it?
on Thanksgiving.
Oh wow! I guess we'll have to figure out something for that.
We're gonna just gobble up some games.
Yep.
We're gonna be stuffed with reviews.
Yeah. So I'll have to figure that out. I think that's gonna be about it for tonight. Then have a good night.
All right, later.